Let's hit some of the root causes of it. I mean, low motivation in general. The first thing that I think of, and maybe your average listeners thinking of, they listen to it for a while, they're going to think low dopamine. And that's certainly one potential root cause. And we can measure that using urine organic acids testing. So we'll look at the markers for dopamine on that test, and we can see, and I would say 90% of people I test are pretty low. And the other 10% are people that have Clostridia, bacterial overgrowth. You and I've talked about this before. We did a whole show on Clostridia, I believe. But the mechanism is that if you have Clostridia, which is a certain type of bacteria in the gut, that will actually inhibit the enzyme dopamine beta hydroxylase, and then you have this buildup of dopamine. So you'll have some of these mood issues that'll happen because of your gut. So if you fix your gut, that high dopamine marker normalizes. But otherwise, I see generally pretty low dopamine. And maybe you and I can kind of break down why is that happening. I think chronic stress is a big one, but I wonder if there's a role of like excess caffeine. Have you seen anything with like too much coffee or stimulants depleting dopamine? What about drugs like the Adderall drugs and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think with motivation, it's a couple things, right? So we have kind of the psychological kind of mindset aspect. I think that's really important. So I think number one, you have to enjoy what you're doing, or you have to at least kind of know where your talents and your skill sets are at. So you can work on doing things that one, you enjoy, and two, you're actually good at, so you can perform at a higher level, right? I think it's a combination of those two things. And I think also there's some people that, what if you're not good at things, right? And so I think early on, if you're younger and listening to this as you grow up, you really want to look at developing talent stacks and skill sets. And you really want to look at the marketplace and say, where where is there gaps in the marketplace in regards to skills, whether it's on the health side or on the tech side or on engineering. You really want to look at kind of where you can kind of plug yourself into the marketplace and where there are opportunity. And then I think it's also good to evaluate kind of your natural talents and your skill sets. You can kind of look at, what people have always told you you're good at. There's different tests out there, whether it's a Myers-Briggs personality test or there's, I think, another test out there called a DISC, DISC test. There's different tests out there that kind of help you understand kind of where your natural talents are at. And then also just really observing and being aware of what you really enjoy doing. Usually things that you enjoy doing tend to be better at it because you don't mind working harder at it. I think those are important. So then when you start doing things, you really enjoy it. Now, on the physiological side, chronic stress will either acutely raise cortisol, and over time that cortisol can become lower, which can affect energy and mood and cause your body to break down faster. And of course, that same level of adrenal stress can also lower dopamine, lower adrenaline, which can then affect focus and motivation at a biochemical, neurological level too. So I think it's good to look at both of those, and we can test the adrenal glands and know what's happening at the adrenal level. We can also look at the neurotransmitters via organic acid testing and look at various metabolites for homovanillate, which is a metabolite for dopamine, and then vanilmandelate, which is a metabolite for adrenaline. So we can get a window into both of those metabolites and see how the brain is functioning on the inside.
Yeah, that's a great point.